Zion Williamson is the NBA's living contradiction. He is a man who can weigh more than a defensive end, yet elevate like an Olympic high jumper, who can bulldoze anyone in the paint, spin with the grace of a ballerina, and hang in the air long enough to count the camera flashes. At his best, he appears destined to dominate the league for a decade. At his worst, he is a perpetual headline about weight clauses, rehab timetables, and hamstring setbacks. 6 seasons after being drafted first overall, he has logged barely half the games he could have played, and astonishingly, not a single minute in the NBA playoffs. Millions of fans and the New Orleans Pelicans front office are stuck asking the same question every year: generational superstar or a heartbreaking what if? To understand why Zion inspires both awe and anxiety, we have to start at the beginning, with a boy whose adolescent growth spurt felt more like an origin story mutation than a routine stretch of puberty. Back in 2015 at Spartanburg Day School in South Carolina, Zion entered high school as a 5'9" point guard. He dribbled low, played quick, and relied on finesse because he had no other choice. One summer later, biology detonated. By the start of sophomore year, Zion had shot up to 6'6", added nearly 100 pounds of bone and muscle, and almost overnight gained a vertical leap measured at 45 inches. Doctors diagnosed the stabbing aches in his knees and back as garden variety growing pains. Zion, looking back, calls it the chrysalis, the uncomfortable stage when he was literally growing into the athlete the world would soon obsess over. He would later say that when the pain finally stopped, it was as if all that explosive power had been unlocked in an instant, and he simply embraced it, the way a new superhero tests a freshly discovered power. As a sophomore, he averaged 28 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 3 steals, already separating himself from other prospects. Then the internet found him. Highlight reels of ridiculous in-game windmill dunks, one-handed tomahawks, and 360 alley-oops racked up millions of views overnight. By junior year, he averaged 37 points and 13 rebounds, broke the South Carolina state record for consecutive 30-point games, and drew celebrities to cramped high school gyms just to see whether he would break a backboard. During that season, Drake posted a photo of himself wearing Zion's high school jersey, and NBA veterans tweeted as if a real-life video game character had spawned in suburban South Carolina. By senior year, teachers had to usher students through packed hallways because ESPN set up a dedicated Zion cam to follow him for entire games. He looked like a grown man among children, 270 pounds of kinetic violence packaged in a teenager who loved cracking jokes with classmates moments before hammering an alley-oop so hard that parents gasped. He finished his prep career with another state title, a 36-point per game incredible, and a sense that he might be the most hyped high school player since LeBron James. Choosing a college felt more like choosing a brief layover between viral stardom and the NBA, but Zion made it an event. He announced he would join Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, teaming up with RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish in what recruiting analysts called the Beatles of college basketball. From opening night at Madison Square Garden, Zion justified the absurd attention. He dropped 28 points on Kentucky, shattering Duke's debut scoring record on 11 for 13 shooting. Over 33 games, he averaged 22.6 points, 8.9 rebounds, 2 steals, and nearly 2 blocks while shooting an almost cartoonish 68% from the field, the highest mark ever by a freshman. Every lob pass, every transition sprint, every soaring block felt like theater. One February night against North Carolina, with former President Barack Obama courtside, Zion planted for a routine pivot, and his left shoe exploded at the seams. The spectacular blowout caused a mild knee sprain, drove Nike stock down more than $1 billion overnight, and sparked immediate think pieces about whether someone that big should move that violently. Zion returned a few weeks later and promptly went 13 for 13 from the floor against Syracuse, reminding everyone the fun was not over. March Madness ended for Duke in a 1-point Elite Eight loss to Michigan State, but Zion's individual run delivered every award available. The Wooden, the Naismith, the AP Player of the Year, ACC Player of the Year, you name it, he won it. The draft became a coronation, not a selection process. On Lottery Night 2019, the New Orleans Pelicans moved into the #1 slot, freshly separated from Anthony Davis and starving for hope. With the first pick, they drafted Zion, and the Smoothie King center buzzed with a faith last felt in the Chris Paul era. Then reality snuck in. During a preseason game, Zion tore his right meniscus. A timetable of 6 weeks ballooned into 3 months because the team decided to exercise maximum caution. Meanwhile, the internet melted down. Every leaked photo of Zion on the sideline produced hot takes about conditioning, gumbo, and whether 285 pounds was was simply too much mass for such torque. Then came the night of January 22nd, 2020 against the San Antonio Spurs. Through 3 quarters, Zion looked tentative, bound by a strict minutes restriction with only 5 points. In the fourth, something clicked. He drilled 4 consecutive three-pointers, an element scouts had insisted did not exist in his game, and scored 17 straight points in less than 3 minutes. The building sounded like a jet engine. Greg Popovich had to call a timeout twice just to dampen the avalanche. The debut ended with 22 points in 18 minutes, and every highlight show ran Zion's name on repeat. The pandemic-shortened rookie season finished with Zion averaging 22.5 points on 58% shooting, a 24-player efficiency rating, and a league-record 13-game streak of 20-plus points by a teenager. Sophomore year took that production and turned the dial even higher. Under Stan Van Gundy, the Pelicans unveiled Point Zion, giving him the ball at the top of the key and letting him rumble downhill like a runaway truck. He averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists, shooting 61% from the floor and registering a 25-game streak of scoring 20 or more on at least 50% shooting in NBA first. Analysts struggled for comparisons. He had Shaq's brute force, Charles Barkley's low center spin move, and Russell Westbrook's first step, all while weighing more than any of them did at similar ages. Yet, not everything was rosy. Late that summer, Zion suffered a Jones fracture in his right foot, an injury notorious for tricky healing. The team predicted he would be ready for opening night, then Christmas, then the All-Star break, until the calendar flipped and Zion had not played a minute of the 2021-2022 season. Meanwhile, images circulated of him warming up in sweats that looked too tight, cheeks puffy, headband barely holding back unruly curls. Pundits began tracking his weight the way economists track inflation. Despite the lost year, the Pelicans extended a 5-year rookie max contract worth $193 million, scalable to $231 million if he earned All-NBA honors. But there was a twist. Portions of the money were only guaranteed if Zion met weigh-in benchmarks. His combined body weight and body fat percentage could not exceed 295. This was unprecedented. The league's only partially guaranteed max contract for a 21-year-old superstar. In essence, New Orleans believed in his ceiling but hedged against his floor, the basement being continuous absences due to the stress of extra pounds on kinetic joints. The 2022-2023 season showcased both the brilliance and the fragility. In the home opener, Zion, still visibly heavy, steamrolled for 25 points. By December, after trimming down, he erupted for 33 points per game over a week, shooting an absurd 70% from the field and earning Player of the Week honors. On December 28th, he posted a career-high 43 points against the Timberwolves, bullying elite defenders as if they were practice dummies. 1 week later, he strained his hamstring, and weeks turned into months. Fans had deja vu, jaw-dropping peaks followed by prolonged valleys. Off-court drama did not help. In the summer of 2023, adult film actress Mariah Mills unleashed a social media tirade alleging a relationship with Zion. At the same time, announcements surfaced that Zion was expecting a child with another woman. The saga clogged timelines, overshadowed the release of his Jordan Brand signature shoe, and invited uncomfortable questions about focus. When the 2024 play-in tournament arrived, Williamson, finally healthy, played perhaps the best game of his life. 40 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists against the Lakers. He erased an 18-point deficit almost by himself, tying the game with 3 minutes left, then grimaced and grabbed his left hamstring. He watched the ending from the bench as the Pelicans fell short and missed the playoffs again. 2 months later, headlines revealed internal frustrations. Teammates loved Zion's energy when present, but coaches struggled to build continuity around a star who could be extraordinary for 2 weeks, then unavailable for 2 months. In January 2025, after repeated tardiness, the team suspended him for missing a flight, an almost unthinkable move for a franchise player. Trade rumors percolated, yet the market for a star with weight causes, hamstring scar tissue, and a ballooning salary proved icy. Then, against this bleak backdrop, Zion surprised everyone again. He returned from rehab slimmer than ever, officially 264 pounds, the lightest since his Duke days, and instantly reminded the league why belief lingers. On February 27, 2025, he lit the Sacramento Kings for 40 points, slicing through defenders with a punishing spin move that sent 2 players tumbling. A week later, he notched his first career triple-double, 27 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. Then added another a few days later against the Clippers with 22 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds. As misting a Nurse. In Cusedale, defensive efforts, long criticized, improved dramatically. He jumped passing lanes, contested shots at the rim, and even dove for loose balls, something rare earlier in his career. Advanced metrics told told the story. With Zion on the court, New Orleans posted an 8-point per 100 possessions net rating. Without him, they were -5, a swing comparable to Nikola Jokic's impact in Denver. And yet, after 30 games, cautious team doctors shut him down for long-term hamstring health, a phrasing that Pelicans fans have memorized like a bad pop chorus. At 25 years old, Zion sits at a fork in the road. By efficiency, he already compares favorably to legends. Per 36 minutes, his scoring, rebounding, playmaking, and true shooting percentages line up with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Joel Embiid at the same age, and exceed LeBron James's early career efficiency. Yet availability is its own skill. LeBron played 492 games by his age 25 season, Giannis 456, even Embiid, who missed his first 2 seasons, logged 158. Zion has appeared in fewer than 200. Pelicans fans live in dual realities. In one universe, Zion maintains his new 260-pound frame, the hamstrings hold, and he unleashes a 70-game campaign dragging New Orleans to the second round or further. Of out goal-lanking series, he used a Crean skill set. Unstoppable in transition, lethal in the half court with a lefty push shot, crafty passer out of double teams, makes him an MVP dark horse candidate. In the other universe, another lower body tweak arrives in December, morale sags, and New Orleans wastes the prime of Brandon Ingram and fellow role players while paying luxury tax for designer streetwear on the bench. One then, yet's one luck west Albie be the Posky or Volton class that is, the benefits that Brandon Rollings of Project Disease or bounds as meritable. There is also the business equation. The Pelicans have invested millions in sports science, hiring P3 biomechanics specialists, nutritionists, sleep experts, and psychologist consultants. Yet tension simmers because Zion's personal team sometimes gives advice that conflicts with the franchise's data. The result is the infamous minutes restriction cycle. Zion says publicly he wants to play back-to-backs, the medical staff counters with caution, the star plays every other night, urgency builds near the playoffs, another strain sidelines him, everyone argues in hindsight. Ball in the price Vanner tractors, white flactors, one peer season, Oli Riri quickly, azing minutes seasoned a new dial. Around the league, executives keep tabs. If Zion strings together 60 healthy games, his trade value skyrockets into the Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant tier. If he misses another half season, rival GMs wonder whether he's the next Penny Hardaway or Greg Oden, a talent so electric you cannot look away, yet so brittle you hesitate to build a future around him. For Zion himself, the path forward seems clear in theory, treacherous in practice. He needs to maintain his current weight window, continue the mobility drills that target hip flexibility and hamstring durability, and perhaps most importantly, avoid the off-court noise that saps focus. Insiders say he has adopted a chef-prepared diet heavy on lean proteins and anti-inflammatory foods, swapped late-night video game marathons for sleep tracker discipline, and begun weekly Pilates to stabilize the core. Skeptics will only believe when they see 3 digits in the games played column. The stakes are monumental. If he proves durable, Williamson could redefine the modern power forward. Imagine Blake Griffin's rookie audacity fused with Giannis's body angles and Luka Doncic's court vision. He could drive television ratings, boost New Orleans' market value, and maybe lure another star to the Gulf Coast. If the cycle repeats, he could become the cautionary tale played in draft night war rooms, a highlight reel of promise that never made it past the first installment. And so the paradox remains. Each thunderous dunk tempts us to declare Zion the future face of the NBA, while each medical update reminds us he might never string together enough healthy weeks to seize that crown. He is still only 25. Hall of Fame trajectories are not closed until bodies truly give out or passion fades, and neither has happened yet. But windows in professional sports are unforgiving. Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, and a young stable of defenders are ready to bite into the Western Conference hierarchy. They cannot wait forever for their apex star to join them in the postseason. Fans, analysts, and armchair physiologists will debate weight thresholds, fast twitch fiber stress, and hydration protocols. Meanwhile, somewhere in a training facility, Zion will lace his sneakers, test the tension of the laces, probably Nikes reinforced in the midsole this time, and attempt another explosive leap. If he lands without that familiar twinge, perhaps the coming season will be the proof of concept. 82 games, or even 70, of a locked-in Zion could reshape playoff brackets and award ballots. If not, the story resets, another chapter in an increasingly thick file labeled next year. In the end, the Zion Williamson paradox is simple to phrase, impossible to solve until time passes. He embodies potential and uncertainty in equal measure. He might be the league's most unstoppable force waiting to happen, or its most memorable near miss. Which outcome we witness depends on an unpopular mixture of anatomy, discipline, and luck. a hamstring holding together when he twists in midair, a foot bone staying intact when he plants on a Eurostep, an alarm clock buzzing early enough to catch the team plane. Until those variables tilt firmly in one direction, every breathtaking highlight must be viewed through fingers half covering our eyes, equal parts exhilaration and dread. And so we watch, we hope, and we wonder whether Zion Williamson will claim the destiny his talent promises or remain forever suspended between brilliance and fragility. Basketball's most explosive question mark.
Smash that like button if you're ready to see Zion finally break free of the injury cycle. Subscribe and hit the like so you never miss our deep dive breakdowns, trade rumors, and film rooms delivered every week. Sound off in the comments. Is Zion destined for MVP ballots or the all-time what-if list? Tell us superstar or question mark and back it up with one hot take. Share this video with a fellow hoops head who still argues about Barkley versus Giannis. Let's bring them into the lockdown.